The moment I keep replaying is Britt realizing that Casius, her own brother, may be the reason Josslyn is trapped somewhere with no clean way out. I don't know why that image sits so heavily with me, but it does. Britt has lived with danger before. She has lived with shame, with secrets, with people assuming the worst of her before she even opens her mouth. But this feels different. This feels like the kind of horror that starts inside the family, and that is always harder to escape. I can't help but feel that Britt's anger is not just about Josslyn. It is about recognition. It is that sick feeling of seeing someone you share blood with cross a line and realizing they may not even understand there is no walking back from it. Casius attacking and kidnapping Josslyn is already awful, but what bothers me is the possibility that this is not the end of what he is capable of. It feels like a beginning, a door opening. And once that door opens on General Hospital, people do not simply step back politely and apologize. What makes it worse is that Josslyn is not just surrounded by one threat. Casius is there, yes, but Sidwell and Cullum are circling too, and there's something suffocating about that. It's like Josslyn has become the center of a storm she didn't fully choose. And Britt knows what Sidwell is capable of. She saw him pull the trigger. She saw Dalton's life end in a way that was cold, final, almost casual. That kind of thing changes how a person hears danger. Britt does not need anyone to explain what Sidwell might do to Josslyn. She has already seen the preview. And maybe I'm overthinking this, but there is something about Britt's fear that does not feel simple to me. It feels almost prophetic. Like she is not only afraid that Josslyn could be killed, but afraid that she already understands the shape of the tragedy forming around them. Britt may be furious with Casius, but anger is not the same as control. She can beg him to send Josslyn back. She can argue. She can appeal to whatever piece of him might still care. But would Casius listen? I don't know. I really don't. Because it seems like Casius is already past the point where reason matters more than self-preservation. And that is the part I keep coming back to. Casius may not be acting from rage alone. There is a possibility that fear is driving him harder than anything else. Fear of exposure. Fear of Britt turning against him. Fear of Lucas getting too close. Fear that Josslyn, if she survives and speaks, becomes the thread that unravels everything. And once a villain starts seeing people as loose ends instead of human beings, the danger changes. It becomes quieter, colder. Britt turning to Lucas makes emotional sense, even if it is reckless. Maybe especially because it is reckless. Lucas has already been circling this terrible situation from another angle, possibly trying to steal medication for Britt. That alone tells me how desperate things have become. He is not a criminal by nature, not in the way these other people are, but love and loyalty can push decent people into dark rooms. And I keep wondering if Britt asking him to delay that plan and focus on rescuing Josslyn first is her way of trying to save more than one life at once. Josslyn's life, obviously, but maybe Lucas's soul, maybe her own. Still, there is something about this that doesn't sit right with me. If Britt and Lucas move secretly, who are they really hiding from? Casius, Sidwell, Pascal, maybe all of them. And if they are discovered, the consequences could be immediate. I can see Sidwell reacting with that dangerous calm. Pascal feels like the kind of person who notices details others miss. But Casius is the one who scares me most in this setup, because if he feels betrayed by Britt, that wound becomes personal. And personal danger is unpredictable. I could be wrong, but I think Casius may see Britt's interference as worse than Lucas's. Lucas is an obstacle. Josslyn is evidence. But Britt is family. Britt is supposed to understand him, or at least that may be what he tells himself. If she chooses Josslyn over him, even morally, even for the obvious reason, Casius may twist that into betrayal. And a man already cornered by his own crimes can become frighteningly creative about justifying the next one. That is where the possibility of all three of them being held captive starts to feel horribly believable. Josslyn already imprisoned. Lucas and Britt caught trying to help. Casius deciding that containment is easier than negotiation. It sounds extreme, but in this world, extreme is often just the next logical step after desperation. He may not even plan it that way at first. He may panic. He may lash out. He may tell himself he only needs time, but time in the hands of someone like Casius becomes another weapon. And then there's the darkest thought, the one I don't really want to say out loud, but I keep circling it anyway. What if Casius decides the cleanest solution is to make Josslyn, Lucas, and Britt disappear forever? Not because he wants to, or at least not because he admits he wants to, but because he convinces himself there is no other option. That is the kind of thinking that makes villains terrifying. Not wild cruelty, but logic poisoned by fear. If Josslyn is gone, she cannot speak. If Lucas is gone, he cannot expose the plan. If Britt is gone, the family betrayal ends with her. The secret gets buried with them. The truth may be more complicated than it looks, though. Maybe Casius is not fully in control. Maybe Sidwell is pulling more strings than we realize. Maybe Cullum's interest in Josslyn has another purpose. Maybe Pascal discovers Britt and Lucas not by accident, but because someone wants them caught. I keep thinking there may be layers here we are not meant to see yet. Casius looks like the immediate threat, but what if he is also being maneuvered? What if his violence is real, but also useful to someone else? That doesn't absolve him. I'm not saying that, but General Hospital has always been good at making me ask whether the person holding the weapon is truly the person who built the trap. Casius may be dangerous, but Sidwell feels like a man who understands how to let others destroy themselves first. And if Britt has already witnessed him kill Dalton, then her fear of him is not paranoia. It is memory. It is trauma recognizing a pattern before everyone else catches up. I also wonder about Britt's own guilt. She may not have caused this, but guilt does not care about technicalities. If Casius hurts Josslyn, Britt may feel responsible because she is connected to him. If Lucas gets hurt helping her, she may feel responsible for that too. And that could push her into making a sacrifice before anyone asks her to. Britt has always had this complicated way of acting tough while carrying wounds she does not fully show. I can imagine her telling herself that saving Josslyn matters more than saving herself. And maybe that is noble. Or maybe it is dangerous in another way. Lucas, meanwhile, may become the emotional center of this without realizing it. He is not just helping Britt because of strategy. There is care there. History, loyalty, maybe unresolved pain. And if he gets pulled into captivity alongside her and Josslyn, I think the story becomes less about the rescue and more about what people reveal when they believe they might not make it out. Secrets tend to surface in locked rooms. Fear strips people down. Britt may admit things she has buried. Lucas may confront what he has been willing to risk. Josslyn may see a side of Britt she never expected. There is also a chance, and I say this carefully, that Josslyn's survival depends on Britt being able to reach whatever human part of Casius still exists. But I don't trust that part of him enough. Not yet. Maybe it is still there, buried under panic and pride and whatever twisted loyalty he thinks he has. But if he is already considering pulling the trigger, then Britt may not be negotiating with her brother anymore. She may be negotiating with the version of him created by his worst choices. And that is what unsettles me the most. Not just whether Josslyn survives. Not just whether Lucas and Britt are captured. It is the feeling that everyone is moving toward a room where all the exits are closing, and each person believes they are acting before it is too late, while actually making the trap tighter. I keep coming back to the idea that Cassius's secret wants bodies around it. That sounds grim, I know, but secrets on this show are never passive. They demand protection. They demand lies. Sometimes they demand blood. And if Britt is the one person who could expose the truth and also the one person who still might want to save Casius from himself, then what does he do with her? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Britt and Lucas get to Josslyn in time. Maybe Casius hesitates. Maybe Sidwell becomes the bigger threat and forces an uneasy alliance. But I can't shake this feeling that Britt's choice to save Josslyn may be the very thing that puts her in the deepest danger. So the question I'm left with is not just whether Josslyn can be rescued. It is whether Britt can stop her brother without losing Lucas, without losing herself, and without discovering that the Casius she wants to reach has already disappeared behind the secret he is trying to bury.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.